don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patent it. Being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gotta learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams is a modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage in this red. I'll be great one day, going
video moving. Okay, we're here. I was thinking we had some technical difficulties. Can you hear us? We've got some in the chat already. Let's see. Oh, we've got quite a few. Let's see. We've got John Marciano. And let me start at the top.
Hello.
John Marciano, Fixing My Faith. Debbie Moore. Hi, Debbie. Glad you got on. Rebecca Wise. And Faded in San Diego. And D Happy Heretic. Hi. How are you? It's from Holland. Diana. Okay. And the sound, how's the sound? Oh. I don't think they're going to show. Okay. Oh, you got to put the light on. Okay. These are for the announcements. We found these at the thrift store. There we go. Okay. So we can start with the announcements. And Shauna, when you get a chance, if you can put up the birthdays, please. Okay, so we're still in March, and these are birthdays for the month of March. And like, I think it was, I forget who it was last week, so we can celebrate it all month.
All month.
All right, March 1st, Joe Garino and Wendy Davis. March 2nd, Shauna Hool, Martin Haw and Fran Garino. March 3rd, Stefan. March 5th, Indira Mako Brown. March 7th, Penny Tarrant and Alora. March 8th, Trevor. March 10th, Johnny Perkins, Linda Lawton. March 11th, Leo Rosenthal. March 12th, ExJW Joy and Patty Wall. That's Wild Wall's wife. March 13th, Natasha Garfield. March 14th, Monica Vasquez. March 15th, Artsy Kim and Joseph Gallion. March 16th, Lindsay Garfield and Lindsay Slatt. March 17th, Stephanie Lynn Carson, and she's our guest speaker tonight. March 18th, Doris Melsheimer and Karina Harding. March 20th, Kim Sue Wilcox and Howdy Paw. March 22nd, Michaela Abraham. March 24th, Jim Acker, Kelly Eckerman, Gianna Grassi. March 25th, Randy Eckerman and Dana Colicchio. March 26th, Pete Manning. March 27th, Michelle Regoza. March 28th, Justin Fiorenzo. March 29th, Wes Bolish, that's Diana Lost husband. And March 31st is Jimmy Bumpus. So let's say happy birthday to all the March people.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Okay, it's happy birthday. And we also have a few anniversaries for the month of March. March 16th, Jonathan and Christine Murphy celebrated their wedding anniversary. March 27th, Jared and June Nicholson. And March 28th, Randy and Kelly Eckerman. So we wish them all a very happy anniversary. And we thank David from the Discord for putting these all together and putting it on here. It's so much easier reading it off of here than me trying to find everything crossed off on my calendar that I could never read. So that makes it much easier. So thank you, David. And if anyone has a birthday in April, we're putting those together so I can hand them in to David, and we'll have those up for April birthdays. Now we also have some meetups. All of these you can find on ExJWFriends. Just go to your Google and ExJWFriends. So we don't have any for April left that we know of, but May 18th, we are having a ExJW Excellent Chicken Barbecue Meetup. And that's going to be in our area. We've got information for you if you're interested. It's going to be near the Utica, New York area. We'd love to have you come if you're going to be in the area. Our special guest is Faded in San Diego. He's going to be flying in, so we're having a meetup for him and to meet all the friends, and a lot of other friends too are coming. August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is Stay Alive in 2025. That's, pardon?
Still alive?
Well, it's Stay Alive
Or
in
Stay Alive.
2025. Maybe still
I thought it was
alive.
still alive.
I don't know. I'll have to check that. But
Huh.
that's what's up on the board
No,
here.
that's
So,
Rick's, right?
yeah, this is Rick Fearon, and it's
Oh.
going to be in Tewksbury, Massachusetts.
I remember from him still alive.
Okay, we'll have to make a correction
Mm,
with that.
we'll
Okay,
find
thank
out.
you. Yeah, we'll find out. And if you haven't gotten your rooms yet, they're filling up fast. Joe and I are going to be there, and a lot of other, hopefully Barbara Anderson's going to be there. Fritz Springmeyer is supposed to be there. And I know a lot of friends are planning on it. So we hope to see you all there. And it's August 1st through the 3rd. Let's see, I think there's is there something more further down, Shauna, about how to, Discord? ExJW Friends on Discord. You can join the conversation with over 250 ExJWs on Discord, and you just have to download that on your phone or your apparatus, whatever you're using. Is there something under that? ExJW TV on YouTube. Join live with Joe and Fran every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Okay. And then Joe and Fran on YouTube. And some people have a hard time finding it. But if you go to, there's a couple different ways you can go to find the program. It's Fixing My Faith, Joe and Fran live. If you tune in 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or it's also on our channel. We have a YouTube channel. It's a small channel, but you can find us on Joe and Fran on YouTube. You can find it there too. So I think that's it for the announcements. Discovering a supportive group. I was just reading that. Okay. So we appreciate everyone's help with that. Shauna putting the Discord together, and she's got Jay that helps her and a lot of other folks. But anyway, let me stop talking so Joe can start talking about the theme tonight, because at 8 o'clock we have a special guest, Stephanie Lynn Carson. She's coming in from Arizona. So I'm going to take these off, and Joe's going to talk about telling a lie versus caught in a lie.
Well, you're gonna share this.
I'm going to
with me
help too.
because you're part of it.
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah.
We're humans, and according to a story, it's a story that we are in sin, or we're all sinful. And because of that, well, we're bad sometimes. And one of those ways that we can be bad is sinning, is to say something that we know is not true, to deceive somebody. I want to, I want to keep this from. I want to trick this person. I don't want them to know it's real, but I have to say something. I want them to know something that's not true. That's telling a lie. That's bad. Because deception puts a person in a situation of losing, being hurt, injured, or ending up to feel betrayed by that other person. They don't like that. We don't like being lied to. Because, if someone gives me, they say, "Here, Joe, here's a glass of water. Oh, nice and clear. Thank you." And if it turns out to be like acetone or some other solvent that's clear, it's like, "Oh, they said this was water. It's not water. What are you trying to do to me?" Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of blatant, but that's a lie. In other words, they knew. Obviously, they wanted to do something against me, if they were trying to deceive me, or they just wanted to disrespect or injure me. I don't know, but that's what a lie does. Telling a lie. Now, the other thing is being caught in a lie. Now, I guess there's a couple of different ways you can be caught in a lie. So in other words, if you told a lie and you kind of got it by the person, they accepted it, and it worked. They accepted the lie. But then shortly after, they were talking or found or examining things a little better, and they realized that wasn't true what he said. That was a lie. If he really meant that, that was a lie. Now, you go to that person and they are confronted, and well, if that person says, "Well, I didn't know," maybe it didn't, maybe it didn't, but no, they were caught in that lie because let's say they were trying to deceive you. Okay, that's one way to be caught in a lie. The other way to be caught in a lie is something that every single one of us is experiencing. Every single human being on earth is experiencing being caught in a lie. And it's because the humans have been told things from the authorities since there was authority, like since there was gods and God and whoever. And if the information that was told to us turns out to be untrue, Well, I guess you've got some options at that point. You can say, oh, that's not true. The authorities lied to us. The government lied to us. The religion lied to us. And now this is for all the people involved. Everybody was told this thing, and it's not true. Well, now, would they do that? For example, would governments put forth a history of a people, history, let's say our history, going back of our ancestors? What isn't the history that they put forth, isn't that true? No, it's proving to be not true. It's a story. It's a story. Oh, but I've always believed it to be true. It's a story, says the other person, but no, I think that's true. Okay, maybe you do. Does it make it true? No. Okay, now how about another situation? You promise something based on what you were told. I promise. And you find out the person that was offering the situation to you, the offer, they lied. Oh, they lied. I think they lied.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my goodness, I promised something. I obligated myself to this person, to this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what am I going to do now? I obligated myself. I wasn't lying when I obligated myself. But now I find out they really weren't being sincere. They were deceiving me. Well, I'm just going to straighten this thing out. I'm going to back out of it. I'm going to get out of this. Oh, not so quick. Because if you do, if you remember, there was a part of your agreement, part of the thing that I agreed to, is that I'm going to suffer consequences if I back out. In other words, not just in, out, no problem. Nope. Consequences. It's kind of like, yeah, there's consequences that you may not want to bear. It's like, oh my goodness, I was caught in this lie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I obligated myself to live this circumstance based on my understanding and belief that it was true. And yet now I find out it's not. But yet to back out of it so as to be truthful in my heart and sincere in my actions, I'll lose something I don't want to lose. Oh my goodness. What a quandary. It's a dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where people break out into differences. In 100 people who find themselves in this circumstance, there's going to be differences. Some are going to blow it off and say, big deal. Yeah, I lie too. So I understand if people lie. What are you going to do? People lie. I'll go along. I can go along with this. This is no problem. I can go along with this. They're liars. I know they're liars. So am I. I can deal with this. Okay. And then another person says, I can't do this. I know it's not true. And I'm offering and presenting myself as believing it to be true. That makes me a liar. And I didn't tell the lie. I got caught in this lie. Well, now I've got to do something. And at this point, I'm in tremendous distress because if I'm in it, I'm being dishonest in my heart. I'm presenting myself. And I know it's not true, what I said, what I believe and feel. But if I back out of it and rectify it and verbally straighten it out, I'm going to lose. That's caught in a lie. Wow. Some say, well, another group say, well, I think we just have to get used to it. There's benefits to it. We promised this was, we dedicate this. This is what we are. We can live with it. It's nice. People like it. It's good. Not everyone knows it's not true. And maybe even then, maybe it is. Who knows for sure. Let's not worry about it. It's too complicated. It's easier to do nothing and just play the game. Go along. And this is where anyone who's studied the Bible, which Jehovah's Witnesses have studied the Bible, let's say they're exposed to the Bible. When I think of studying the Bible, I think of scholars. Scholars study. Bible scholars study the Bible. Myself, as one of previously Jehovah's Witnesses, I was exposed to it. Did I study it? I read it. I read publications about it. Did I study it? Not like a scholar studies it. Believe me, not like a scholar studies the Bible. So here, some of the things in the Bible bear true. And it talks about honesty and dishonesty. Though all men be a liar, let God be proven true. Well, I hope he is. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. I can't prove it. And then the other thing is, and I'm not going to give you numbers for these places, locations, but where it speaks that outside are the dogs and those that love the lie. And I thought, oh, who would love a lie? This is ridiculous. Why would someone love a lie? It makes you feel bad. I'm lying, I love it. No, wait a minute. But then again, if there's certain sorts of people that accept something that isn't true, and yet they form an approval for it, and they stick with it, I guess they love a lie. They love the lie because they're giving themselves to it, and they're hanging on to it, and they're not rectifying or clearing it out. It's like, I mean, I'm not presenting anything that's a simple situation. This is complicated, stressful, and to many it's a real dilemma where there's consequences. And so are we liars as Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, look, I'm not one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was putting forth information that wasn't true. I was being a liar. And when I found out I was, it's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to keep this up. I wasn't born to lie, nor to learn to love a lie. And to be caught in a lie feels very violated. I was violated. Well, if I keep supporting it, I'm just supporting violating myself.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I do that? Because I wouldn't want to lose and get hurt and get burned. But on the other hand, I at the end of my life, I'd like to know that being truthful.
Justin from ExJW Diaries is in the chat, and he's given an example of what you're talking about. Sounds like what happened with 607 BCE situation. They stuck with the lie, even though they knew it was wrong.
Oh, sure.
They say, "Oh no, we'll just stay with the lie. It'll be easier."
And how many other things too?
Mm-hmm.
And how many other things? In other words, once a person accepts doing that, oh boy, I think this is their natural way of being now. I think this is a trend. And it is. It's a trend. So we find that. So I recognize that we all, at some point in this organization, the Jehovah's Witnesses, we were all caught in a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because those people, Watchtower, misrepresents who they are. They're not who they say they are. It's a lie. And so if we stick with it, and if a person sticks with it, it's something they're going to have to deal with. And I'm not here to judge anybody except myself. And I personally would judge myself a certain way under certain circumstances, and that's my business. And that's everyone else's business too. That's why it benefits us to do everything we can to make sure of things to the best of our ability. Mm-hmm. And so if in the organization they forbid people from studying anything outside of our information, well, I wonder why. Because they don't want you to find out if they were lying. But then eventually they got caught in the lie. And now, how about me? Do I want to go along with them? And I said, no. Because they want it, doesn't mean I want to. That's the way we determine who we are. I mean, if a young person grows up and they don't know who they are, and they're trying to develop their self-concept. And that's, well, frankly, one of the ways is on the basis of our honesty, what we put forth, our sincerity. And this is where the organization, because of very heavy emphasis on mind control, they exercise very heavy control on what a person believes and knows, and then how they should react to it. Mm-hmm. It's like you're supposed to do like they say. Just do as we say, lie as we say. Oh, and then the idea is you'll be blessed for it. Oh. Now wait a minute. Is that real? See, there's such a conflict there. People aren't going to get blessed for lying. No, there isn't blessings for lies. It's a trap. It's been a trap. And everybody is working at a way to either exit that trap or to stay in it in a way that they can accept themselves. It's up to each individual. I mean, this isn't something where, You know, make a judgment and say, well, everybody has to do this. No. This is where everybody has their own self-expression of reacting the way they want to know themselves. It's our chance. It's our chance to do that. Mine, yours. Don't judge me. I won't judge you. If you want to judge me, you can, but I mean, it's not going to help
You
much.
were gonna, did you talk about dignity and sovereignty? And Annie's in the
Okay.
background, okay, and
Yeah,
Lynn's trying to, Stephanie's trying to come on, so I'm giving her instructions.
Okay, good. Yeah, we look forward to Stephanie coming on. Very exciting information.
Dignity and sovereignty.
Dignity and
Annie.
sovereignty. Well, where did that come in? Dignity and
You're
sovereignty.
gonna talk about, because it has to do with lies, telling lies. If you accept a lie, how's it gonna make you feel? You're not gonna feel very dignified.
No.
We didn't feel, like when we first found out that after 36 years, we found out, never knew that they were hiding child sexual abuse. How do you think we felt? We know how you felt. I mean, we felt the same way. We were angry. And it's like, you have no dignity. It's like you've been telling people, you've been going door to door and telling people that this is the truth and believing it and raising your children that way. And now, what kind of dignity do you have knowing that? So we tried staying PMO for a year, but it was hard because we weren't living true to ourselves, and we didn't feel like we had much dignity at that point.
No, and our family even saw that.
Oh yeah, they could pick it up a mile away.
It's like, I suppose I should have been a better liar. Well, I didn't want to. I tried. Okay, let's say I tried. I said, no, can't try. So there's no dignity in that. But dignity and sovereignty, those are things that animals don't have dignity. That's not an animal trait. Sovereignty is not an animal trait. Dignity is a human trait. Sovereignty is a human trait. If you want to think about this, man's largest institutions, government and religion, seek to do nothing more than strip man of his dignity and his sovereignty, because they want slaves. Government like slaves. Why? Well, that's the word. The word in itself, government, literally means mind control. Oh, it's my mind, but they want to control it. It's your mind, but they want to control your mind. That's what the government is. The government, oh, they're here to protect me. They're here to care for me. They're here to control your mind, because that's what it's called, mind control. Well, unless you don't want to believe that and think something else, I suppose you can. But literally means mind control. So they're there to control minds. Oh, okay. Now, what about religion? Well, what is it proving that religion has done, at least in our lifetime and in the history that we've seen? You want to study the history of the church, religion. Now, I'm not talking about pagan religion. I'm not talking about pagans. I'm not talking about people before Christianity. No, I'm talking about when religions started, with the age of empire, Roman Empire, empires, where governments, people, mind control organizations wanted to collect people together like sheep in a pen, to control them, to fleece them, take their fleece, cut off what's theirs, and then eventually they'll slaughter them and eat them. Boom. See, so what the government can't do for mind control, government developed religion to do what government can't do. See, the religion reaches into your spiritual need, desire. We have spiritual desires. Physical desires want to eat, sleep, mate, whatever. Those are physical desires, physical needs. Well, religion, well, see, we've got another need, and that's a faith need, a worship need, a belief in something outside of what we can see, because we're that way. We have a spiritual nature with imagination and empathy and
imagination, empathy, and it's another I.
intuition.
No, intuition. I thought were you testing me?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
No, you helped me when you
Okay.
said I.
Okay. Yeah,
I got
knew
a
it was
good
another
memory.
I.
It's slow, but it's a good memory. So humans have those three things for their spiritual need: intuition, empathy, and imagination. Dogs don't. If they do, I never saw it, but humans do. And so that's where the institution of religion developed by governments exploits your, Fran, all of our needs to be spiritual. They say, come here and be spiritual. This is the place to be spiritual. And we will take care of your spiritual need. Right. They're going to take care of your spiritual need. And they did. By collecting people together in pens, by fleecing them, by stripping them of their dignity. Since when is a human a sheep? Their sovereignty. Well, what do you mean sovereignty? Yeah, sovereignty. Well, who gets to say what I want to say? Who gets to control that? Who gets to control what you want to say? Who gets to say what goes into your mouth? Food. Who gets to say what comes out of your mouth? You. Oh, religion says, oh, wait a minute. No. We'll tell you. We'll tell you what should go into your mouth and not. We'll tell you what should come out of your mouth and shouldn't. We'll tell you what you should do with your personal life and your social life. We'll tell you. Well, where's the sovereignty there? The right to rule. They say, no. We get to rule over you. Why? Well, because that'll take care of you. That'll help you get close to God in your spiritual need. Oh, will it? Or will it just enrich the religion? Or will it just get them to basically develop a trade of humans to be trafficked that the government wants as slaves, either human slaves for war or for personal pleasure, sexual pleasure for the king. See, the king likes slaves. What kind of slaves is the king like? All kinds of slaves, all ages of slaves. The king prefers slaves. And so, how nice that a business developed, a religion to supply the king with all the slaves he could ever want. Be they slaves for his army, slaves for his harem, you know what I mean? Harem, for their virgins, for their private nasty purposes, because the king likes that stuff. And he's going to make the religion very rich for providing. Yeah, yeah. In fact, he's going to give them tax exemptions because he really appreciates the trafficking that he's doing.
Mm.
They got a great arrangement going. They've had a great arrangement. Well, all that is designed, what they say, so that they could help us satisfy our spiritual need. Do you believe that? Do you believe that that satisfies our spiritual need? Or does it satisfy their sick, perverted needs, desires? See, they would say, oh no, we're here to satisfy your needs. Truth. Whereas in reality, they're not. They lied to us. So a question becomes, now what do I do? I mean, here I joined two religions.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't join the first religion was Catholic. I was
Right.
born into that. No one asked me. I was a little baby and they hold you over this basin and they dump water over your head. That's christening. And then I chose to go into Jehovah's Witnesses. Both religions have proven to do very, very nasty things. Has not satisfied my spiritual need at all. It's stolen from me.
Mm-hmm.
And now is a time when it's going to get corrected.
Ruby has a question. She says, Joe, what happens when people lie to themselves? I think that's what keeps people from moving on or from accepting the reality.
Boy, yeah, sure. I mean, a lie's a lie.
And can we bring Annie in?
No,
Yeah,
please.
because we got
I'm
15.
through
We got
talking. I'll
15
listen.
minutes. Hi, Annie.
Hello, Annie.
Thank you for waiting patiently.
Hi, Joe and Fran.
Hello.
Hello.
So I have you on my tablet now, so it's easier for me
Oh,
Good.
good. You
to
sound good.
understand you.
Yeah,
You
so for
sound-
all out there, tablet makes it easier than the phones.
Right. So as you were talking about lying and realizing that we all lied because we were told lies that we proceeded to tell other people.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first realized that I was waking up and realizing what I had been involved with my whole life because I was born in, I got really angry because my favorite book to studying people in was The Truth That Leads to Everlasting Life.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with a relative, trying to wake them up, but it didn't work. But I said to her, you and I sat in other people's living rooms and at their kitchen table. We
Yep.
studied with them from this book,
Yep.
telling them that what was in this book was truth.
Yeah.
That was going to lead them to everlasting life. And yet there were things in there that were not true. We taught people lies. I was so angry.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course there was the 1914 lie, there was the generation lie. There was the well, the things would lead to everlasting life, which that's not true. So
It was a trend. It was a commonplace thing for them to do that. It's commonplace. So what does that train people in it to do? It just trains everybody to
well,
be
you're
lying.
promoting lies without realizing it until you find out.
It's a corrupting influence.
Well, that's
corrupted.
true too.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why some witnesses went back to their Bible studies and their calls after they
Yes.
woke up and they
Yeah,
apologized
we did. Yeah, we did.
We know other friends did.
Yeah.
because they realized that it was wrong. What they were telling them was wrong.
So as opposed to others who continue to put it forth.
Well, yes,
The
to this
difference in
day,
people.
to
The
this
di-
day,
the
there are
difference-
those who keep promoting it.
The difference in people. This is where, yeah, I mean, I don't want to just pick on women. It could be men too, but the woman that continues to form bad relationships with men,
Mhm.
and but he loves me. He loves me, but he doesn't love her. But she convinces herself to believe that he loves her because she wouldn't want to admit the fact that no, he doesn't love you. She doesn't want to admit that. She'd rather believe the lie. Why? She's got some reason, and others have some reason to see. In many ways, it's easier to go along with a lie than it is to rectify and correct. So people end up saying, oh, just do nothing. Let's just do nothing and keep going through. Okay. And again, that's each individual's prerogative. Each
Yeah,
individual.
there's actually been people who have made the statement, well, even if it's not true, I'm going to stick with it anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because this is what I know.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for some, it was an investment. And I guess they want their investment.
Mhm.
They don't want to see their investment. They don't want to see it waste.
They think they're going to get that reward. That's why a lot of people stay in, because they think they're going to get a reward.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we have 10 minutes before Stephanie comes on. If
Thank
anyone
you,
else wants
Annie.
to come on, and please, yeah, we're not cutting
Yeah,
you
don't
off.
go anywhere, Annie.
Just
Oh, it's
want to
okay.
let people know. And the way to come on for those that are here for the first time, scroll in the live chat, go all the way to the top, and Fixing My Faith in yellow with the HTTPS StreamYard. Just tap on that, and that will bring you in backstage, and then Shauna will let you in. So if anybody wants to come on, please do. And while I've got a minute, we just want to send warm thoughts and hugs to Linda Egan in Virginia. She's
Yeah.
going to be having a very serious operation on April 9th. So please keep her in mind and wishing her all the best.
Yes, Linda.
Yep, Linda. And then our brother-in-law, David Podos, is having surgery on April 4th, and we'll keep you posted on that. If there's anyone else too that
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
Suffering or with the tornadoes that just came through, if you know of anyone that maybe their house was
Yeah,
damaged,
we've heard that happening.
please let us know so we can, we're a community, we're a family, and so we want to keep you all posted.
And I was just going to mention, I talked to Celeste recently, and
Oh,
she's struggling. She's struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't say too much because I don't give away
Yeah.
too much personal information.
right. No, yeah.
See, we're going to struggle through our lives. Every one of us, especially as we age, it's going to be more and more of a struggle for everyone, especially with disease or with tragic accidents as well.
Mm-hmm.
The question becomes, what do you personally want to be left with? And that's where the dignity and the sovereignty comes in. Because that's the thing that defines us as a human being. It's not what we own. It's that thing called our dignity and that right that we had to exercise our sovereignty. Every person has a judgment for that themselves, a right to whatever way they want to control that. And a lot of all the ones coming out now, the ExJWs, we appreciate being involved with you. Anyone else? have anything they'd like to say or corrections they want to make or anything? Additions?
No, we're just constantly looking for new ones that we can connect. We connected a couple in Colorado, and they actually knew people that each other knew. So that was nice. I'll let you, well, yeah, I'll give them to you too, Annie, in case you want to connect with them.
Yeah.
There's a new one and someone I don't know if we connected you with before, but we'll, okay. Stephanie's having a hard time coming on from my phone. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we tried doing it by an email. She's on her, let's see, I don't know what to do.
she's coming on with a phone? No.
I don't know, from my phone, yeah. Shauna doesn't see you. Do you see enter studio? We told her to go to the link and she couldn't do that. She wasn't able to do the link at the top.
I just got, are you talking about?
Hello.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, I just noticed it and got in. So,
Thank
hey,
you.
Debbie,
Hello, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey,
Thank you for
hey,
joining. Oh,
you look so
Debbie,
pretty.
Debbie's in
thank
her new
you.
apartment.
I love it.
Hi, I just noticed
Hey,
it and got in.
Timmy, as in Mike and
Looks so
Kim.
pretty.
Timmy. Hi,
Thank
Kim.
you. Hi, I just noticed it and got in.
Timmy, as in Mike and
Looks so
Kim.
pretty.
Hi, Kim.
Thank you.
Somebody's got an echo.
Echo, echo, echo.
Let's see. Okay, everybody's muted. Okay, Kim, you try talking.
Oh, she's-
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, we're having major internet problems.
Well, you sound good.
Yeah.
You sound good.
Oh my goodness.
Now, Debbie, somebody's got an echo. No, maybe
Yeah,
this,
someone has,
somebody's got an echo. I think it's you, Kim.
yeah.
It was good for a minute. Kim, you try talking.
So you're froze now, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
She's on her
We're
phone.
having,
We can hear you.
Thanks for coming on.
yeah, we're having internet problems.
All right.
Sorry, we're having major internet problems.
Well, you sound good.
Yeah.
Okay, we go through this.
Well,
all the
thank you.
time.
Oh my goodness.
Now,
Let's
Debbie,
go to the
somebody's
email.
got an echo. I don't know what to do.
So all we have to do when you come on StreamYard, please
It was good for a
close your
minute.
All right,
close
let me
your
get my
YouTube
headphones.
tab.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
all we have to do.
We're having,
Thanks for coming on.
yeah, we're having internet problems.
Stephanie, have the email?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
And she
Yes, I can hear you, Debbie. And I can hear Kim really good too when she speaks, but her picture is frozen. Nice colored blouse you're wearing, Miss Kim.
How do we?
We
How do
want
we
you to
just
get out.
mute us? Yeah, I wanted to talk to you.
Is there an echo with me?
I'm not hearing an echo any longer.
Okay, thank you.
We heard that too, Kim. You sound good.
I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes. I'm glad you did, Debbie. You look good and your place looks wonderful.
I love my apartment. I love my apartment.
Yeah, I don't know
And
why
I'm
it
really
keeps
happy.
playing what I said over and over again.
It could be because you haven't closed out the tab for the YouTube. Like it might be another open tab that YouTube is playing, and that might be echoing everything. That's what happens with me.
Okay, this is
Are
the
you
only
talking to
window I
Kim?
have open. Yeah, this is the only window
Okay.
I have open, is
Okay.
the StreamYard.
Okay. I don't hear an echo from you, but you're the one hearing it.
Okay. Anyway, I can only stay for a minute, but I just wanted to say that Stephanie forgot to tell me that this deal with the investigation, it's worldwide. It isn't just here in the United States. So the abuse survivors can share their story from all over the world. So I just wanted to say that.
Good information. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and this is
So
not, what do you call it? Statute of limitations, because it is international. So Stephanie's going to talk about it. Do you want to bring her around? She's backstage now. And when she's through
Okay.
with her information, you're more than welcome to come on, but she's backstage now. So shall we have her on?
Oh, please.
Yeah, we're going to,
All right. Well, I will say goodbye.
thank you for coming
Well,
on, Kim.
good to see you, Kim. Say hi to Mike.
Love you guys.
Love you
Too.
too.
Thank you.
bye-bye. So did she just say alleged victims can report not just in the US, but worldwide? Can make reports? Is that what I understood her to say? Okay, good.
Yes, worldwide.
Okay. All
So-
I wanted to add was that when you were talking about people that find themselves in abusive relationships over and over again, it's the same thing as going back to the cult or going to another cult, and that's called cult hopping. So there's a whole lot going on besides the term like that I heard you say something to the, and I'm not sure if I'm quoting you right. They don't want to stay in that abusive relationship. They're going along in life and find themselves in one again and can't figure out why until they realize the techniques and tactics that were used on them and how they've been indoctrinated with the plot stopping cliches that goes on in their heads. So there's more to it than I like getting the crap beat out of me. It's more to it than that. It's and we go door to door too. You know, we were told the truth, and it's really smart to tap into our intuition, right? Because it can be a really good BS detector, right? But what's amazing is if we are talking to someone who's a true believer, they're not BSing us. Our intuition is looking at them going, they're telling the truth, because then they're presenting it as truth because they truly believe it. They're not con artisting us. You know, they're not being a con artist. It's the leadership that you know deceived them, and then they came and gave it to the people that they want to recruit.
Yeah. Well, and literally people, in that organization are all caught in that lie because they don't have any control to do anything about it. See, they don't have the means to check it out. You know, they don't. The ones in the witnesses don't say, "Well, look, why don't you come over the house tonight and we'll do a deep dive into what this society is saying, and to see if whether or not they're being accurate about their dates and their scriptures." No, they don't do that. They don't do that. Normal people would do that, but they're forbidden to do that, and they're afraid to do that. And unfortunately,
I'm going to say good night, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, Debbie.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
just
Debbie,
wanted to say hi.
I'm
You
so
look
glad.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy.
I'm so
I'm
glad.
happy and I'm doing well.
I'm going to catch up with you later tonight.
Okay, and
Bye.
we're gonna have questions for Stephanie. So at the end, you know, you can, if you have any questions, you know, stick around. But we're gonna let everyone go now, and
Good.
we've got a commercial, and then
Bye-bye.
Stephanie will be on. This commercial has to do with what Stephanie is going to be talking about. Thank you, Annie.
I'm Travis Walker with the Law Offices of Travis R. Walker, and our mission is to help eradicate trafficking through civil litigation. I'm a Christian, a husband, a father, an Eagle Scout, and an attorney, so I've taken many oaths to serve and protect people, and it hurts me terribly that this is one of the most devastating, this is the new slavery that's occurring here in America and across the world, and it impacts everyone, not only emotionally, spiritually, but also physically. We have several clients. One is a 15-year-old girl who was pimped out by her mother in exchange for drugs and alcohol. And she was been raped and taken advantage of. We also have women who were used with Romeo pimps and were taken advantage of and just prostituted out across the state of Florida. We also have a client who was involved in a cult and is being trafficked as a member of a cult for satanic rituals. And it's an amazingly deep and evil thing that's going on with human trafficking. There's a real sense of honor and assistance that really helps when we help people. I mean, the ability to find justice for someone who has never found justice before because they're being trafficked. There's a sense of accomplishment. There's a sense of honor. There's a sense of serving Christ in a way that is above all else. And we just have a real duty as Christians and as servants of the Lord to do what we can to make this right and fight evil across the world. By using civil justice, by going after these hotels and motels, by going after truck stops and airports and everything in between, the places that are profit of trafficking, we're creating a real deterrent system. We're finding a way to hit them in their wallets. We're finding a way to make the cost versus benefit ratio much more reduced so that we can reduce the 25,000 people who are entering trafficking every day to much less that, and we can start to eradicate trafficking in that way. And specifically, we're finding compensation for victims so that they can restart their lives, get the rehabilitation they need, and then get the compensation that nonprofits need to help educate and deter people. We've got multiple clients that are helped now. We're giving them the resources they need to get help, to get the psychological help that they need, to get the shelter that they need. And we're finding ways to get them the compensation so that they can really restart their lives and move on and grow from this horrible incident that they had to endure. I don't think that there's anything that can be more damaging to a person's soul, particularly a child's soul, than to be trafficked, to be raped, to be taken advantage of. And it hurts me deeply. It's just tragic. It just weighs heavily on my heart, and it just almost causes pain from a spiritual aspect, because you're really just, you connect with your client, you're trying to do the best that you possibly can for them, and you know that what they've endured is so hard, and you don't want to have them relive it, but it's important. And by going through that process, I too can help them get along the path of restoration. Now, we're working with survivors. Anyone who has been trafficked or knows someone who's been trafficked, reach out to our office for a free consultation. We're happy to see if there's something we can help you out with. We understand that those who've been trafficked have gone through some of the most horrible and devastating things in their life. And we're here to be with compassion and advocacy on their behalf, and find a way to get them some type of compensation and justice, because sometimes our clients go through the criminal justice system and they just don't get the justice they deserve. And so we're here to help compensate them and get them the justice they deserve. So call us today or visit our website, www.traviswalkerlaw.com. Reach out to me at travis@traviswalkerlaw.com. We'd love to hear your story, understand what you've gone through, and see if we can help you.
All right, now my mic is on. I apologize. Can you hear me? Well, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Fran, we can't hear you.
Okay.
You have no sound. I can hear you,
now?
Stephanie. Yep, you sound great, Stephanie. Just 1 second. And we'll get... I'm just letting them know that I can't hear them. So just 1 sec here.
Excuse me.
How are you doing tonight, Stephanie?
I'm all right. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you very much for being here. They'll be right back with us.
Yes.
They might just have to pop out and come back in. StreamYard is great when it works, and when it doesn't, it's Very frustrating. And they're back.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay,
Hi.
can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes.
Oh,
Hello,
good.
Steph.
Okay.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Sorry it was so difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
First.
glad I attempted it early because yeah,
Yeah.
technology and I do not agree. So
No, you're not the only one.
We're all bearing up. We're all bearing up. Okay.
We want to wish you a happy birthday. You just celebrated a birthday on Monday, St. Patrick's Day.
Well,
yeah, isn't that lucky? Well, my brother was born on April Fool's Day, so he got the worst of the he got the worst of the birthdays. Yeah.
No.
Not that we celebrated as kids, but
Yeah.
now that I'm out and he's still in, I'd like to think it's because he's a fool and I got lucky.
Well, you want to just have Stephanie get started?
You get started, you introduce yourself, and we're all ears.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I would have caught Kimmy on there. I don't know everything that she explained to y'all.
Well, she couldn't stay long. She's having a problem with her internet. What she did say is that it's a worldwide effort.
Yeah,
it is a worldwide effort. Yeah.
Worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the first focus is on the United States since, you know, these things take time to grow and build, but we are looking at the transnational criminal component of the organization, specifically their crimes against humanity, and with a special focus on the crimes against children. Because that, you know, speaks to everyone's heart. Doesn't matter what nationality you are, doesn't matter what denomination you are. If you have a good heart, a godly heart, then, you know, that speaks to you. So it does make sense to start there. So it is exciting. It isn't also in its infantile stages, if you will. So we need the help of the community to really be able to pull this off. So I guess I'll just get right into it. One of the advocates, ex-Jehovah advocates, has provided us with a website for use, which is very nice. It's www.worldorganizationwelfare.org. And it's a truth and ministry website where she's putting up information specific to this international campaign. On there, you will find the documents that I will be referring to. Okay. So this is threefolded. What's happening right now. So there's a mass civil, mass tort civil lawsuit that former members or members of the organization within the United States that have been harmed by Watchtower's harmful child protective policies have the opportunity to quite possibly join their voice with many others in a what would be called like a class action lawsuit. Now we've seen this in other countries before, so and here in America with other issues, just never specifically targeting child trafficking. So our organization or the group of advocates and the organizations, plural, that we're working with are investigating not just the Jehovah's Witnesses, but other cult groups such as the Mormons, Scientologists, and so forth. They just happen to be starting with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I think it's because I came to them with my story, and it makes sense to start there because that's where my story comes out of. But during my years of advocacy, any of us that have been doing this for a little while, we know these harms are not only occurring within the Watchtower organization, they're occurring, across the span of all the religious institutions. So we don't want to leave any brother or sister behind, no matter what their faith is. And so the investigations and the lawsuits will be spanning out from there. But yes, we are beginning with the Jehovah's Witness community. So I'm just going to go over this because it spells it out perfectly. Ecumenical, which means multi-denominational lawsuit introduction. It's a healing opportunity for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-LDS, and other cult communities. Our group of advocates is working with a team of private investigators who are presenting their findings to prosecutors to proceed with criminal and civil lawsuits against organized cults who have injured children and adults through trafficking, CSA, SRA, and human rights violations. So first and foremost is obviously the criminal aspect of this, finding the commonality in all of our voices together to bring about cultural change. So the investigators have already gathered enough evidence to proceed forward with cases, but they do want to include everyone's testimony to make this a truly landmark case that will result in needed changes to our laws in the future. The investigators have given us a goal to include a minimum of 1,000 written testimonies from each cult group that will then be presented to prosecutors. We actually believe that the 1,000 testimonies is going to be very, very modest. I believe we will have an influx of these. So before I go any further, if you want to participate in the exposing the criminality of what's happening within Watchtower, you're going to go to this website, www.worldorganization.welfare. Thank you for having it up there. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see where it says, where it's asking for the letters. Do you see that? Yes, changing culture with one story of all of us. So scroll all the way down there. Okay, and then do you see the blue document that says redress? If you could click and open that for us. Okay, so this is organizational specific. So this would be the form that Jehovah's Witnesses or former Jehovah's Witnesses who have been harmed by Watchtower's harmful child protective policies, they would then fill out this form, this questionnaire. And then at the bottom, you'll notice there's 2 addresses, post office boxes to send this to. And so what this form is going to do is going to give a voice to anyone who has been harmed, and not just people that have been harmed. Let's say, for instance, a mother within the organization found out that their child was being abused, and she then goes to the elders and asks for help, but the elders leave it there with the body of elders and they don't take it any further. We want people such as that to also fill out this form. So this is for investigators to use for multi-purpose. This form will serve as evidence. So make sure, see where it says signature, make sure you're actually signing this. So this will serve as evidence for us to present to prosecutors, district attorneys, those types of people that are going to be expanding the criminal investigations as proof that it's more than just my voice coming forward or this single voice over here. We have the power when we come together collectively. And that's where a lot of this, I believe, has gone wrong, because a single voice will come up and we cheer them on. But it's not until we come together collectively and say, we have been harmed, all of us, in the same exact way. So this form can be filled out by anyone, anywhere in the world that knows of a specific case of abuse or their own case of abuse or human rights violation. Do you have any questions on this part?
We can hear you. I
Okay.
think Jane Spitfire had a question. I'm just looking. She said this is only for children abused per her topic.
Well, the reason why we are focusing on children specifically is because the statute of limitations for human trafficking runs out after 10 years for adult cases. But for cases of child human trafficking, there holds no statute of limitations. So this will really give us the most powerful voice forward. So yes, we are focusing on children.
Okay, so if I understand, let's say you're a 40-year-old, but it happened to you when you were 7. Can
Correct.
you? Okay,
Correct.
so
I like you said, I just had my birthday. I just turned 39 again for the 12th time. So that makes me, I think, 51 years old, right? So my abuse within Watchtower began when I was approximately 11 years old and ran until I was about 21 years old. So my redress that I will be filling out along with everyone else's, I'll cover that span of time. So yes, it's not just for current children, it's for anyone way back. If you were abused in 1940, we want to hear about it. If you know of a situation that happened in 2025, we want to hear about it.
So if you were a mother and your son came to you and said that I was sexually abused by dad, the mother could also write in, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's not just the child, but if you know,
Correct.
that's what I thought.
This paper, I guess the best way to describe it, serves as a silent scream from each and every one of us.
Okay.
So, for instance, I have a cousin of mine who was never one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but she knew at the time of some of the abuse that was going on within my family. She also had an understanding of what was going on, even though she was a worldly girl. So she has said that she's going to fill out one of these on behalf of what she witnessed, because these are going to be hand delivered to prosecutors, people that hold a lot of power in the world, and it's our cry for help collectively to make these organizations be held accountable for the harm that they allow to happen to their children, whether it's the Jehovah's Witness organization or other cult organizations.
Okay. Well, we'll have folks come on if they have any questions afterwards. And again, how can they get this form?
So this is available on the website, and we encourage even your platform, please. You can put the links on your platform. That we'd like them everywhere. But the website is www.worldorganizationwelfare.com or .org, excuse me, .org.
Was that the one that you sent me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Wow. World
Yeah,
Organization Welfare.
Can you see the screen, Stephanie?
I can see the screen. Yes.
Okay. Is that the one right there? The truth is now.
That is the website. Yes. So
Okay.
Star has graciously provided us this space so that everyone has a place to go to get these forms. So that form, the redress form, will serve as evidence and proof in the court of law that the investigators are hoping that we have at least 1,000 letters from the Jehovah Witness community. I do believe that we will get tens of thousands of letters, especially since they have opened this up to a global campaign. So anyone in the world that has been harmed or knows of this type of harm within the Watchtower organization is highly encouraged to fill out one of these. Now, the second thing that we'll be using this petition for redress questionnaire for, beyond the criminal investigations that we currently have going on, will be for cultural change, such as changing laws, whether that be statute of limitations, or one that is very dear to my heart that I've been working on for quite some time is clergy penitent privilege exemption, which allows the secrecy to remain within the church, even when the quote unquote sins are crimes against children. So we need to lift that veil of secrecy. And I believe, and the investigators that I'm working with believe, that the best way to do that is to unify our voice. Now, these men that I have found and that we're working with, they're not new to this. They work internationally, and governments, they convince in some of the most hostile places in the world, they will convince governments to do the most humane things. They truly are. I know some of us are not Christian, some of us are, but no matter what your belief system is, these men are very godly or good, however you want to. They have truly pure hearts and want to help with this situation. They see the global effect that this is happening.
It's so good that you found them. You really
Struck a luck.
So if you're comfortable starting with your childhood, if you want to share whatever you want to share, that way people know, a little bit about you.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just finish up with these thoughts here, and then I'll go into my.
Whenever you're ready.
I'll go a little bit into my childhood and
take your
how
time.
I got to where I am. So first and foremost, participating in the criminal and the legislation reform are the two most important factors that any of us can participate in. And then moving forward, so that's the two of the three things that is going on here right now. The third thing is the mass tort civil lawsuit that is going to be available for many and a good portion of the people that do come forward to the attorney himself. He's going to try everything in his power to be able to include each of these survivors in a class action mass tort litigation lawsuit, which would result in a lot of heat or a lot of publicity on the issue, obviously. But it would also provide some type of monetary compensation as well. That's how these things are settled in court, right? Civil court damages are usually money of some sort. What that will be, I don't know. It doesn't cost anything to participate in the lawsuit itself. There's a separate form on that same website. So not the redress, you would click on the attorney-client form right above it, and you're going to fill that out and send it directly to the attorney's office. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then he or his staff will go through those letters, and if they feel, for whatever, they will reach out to you. How they define trafficking, don't be worried. Don't say, oh, I can't participate in this lawsuit because I wasn't filmed, I wasn't sold, I wasn't this. I do believe there's a lot of ways that we could identify Watchtower as actually trafficking the children. One instance, I believe, is through the silence of the church with the clergy penitent privilege by allowing these crimes to continue and not doing anything. How exactly the attorney and the attorneys, I should say plural, are planning, excuse me, excuse me, are planning to proceed with that, I'm not a legal mind. It's just an opportunity that was presented to me alongside these other things that we got rolling, which was the criminal investigation and the legislation. So I would encourage anyone that was harmed within the United States. This legal lawsuit is only open to members or former members where their abuse took place in the United States.
And eventually they're going to open it up to Canada and other areas.
Well, I don't know about the lawsuit portion of it, but the investigation, yes, the investigation. They are Watchtower and these other cults are transnational organizations. A lot of them are based here in the United States, so that would make sense that the United States would be investigating them, and as opposed to other nations. You know, I mean, 2009, Russia banned Jehovah's Witnesses and a bunch of other cults. So eventually, of course, it had to have hit our homeland, right?
Right, right. Well, it's such good news. It's so good news. There's so many things happening. You know, what you're doing, what's happening over in Norway, what they're, there's attorneys called the Salkin attorneys, and they're suing New York, 8 members of the governing body. So there's a lot of things happening all at once.
Yes, and eventually the pimple has to pop, right?
Exactly.
And we've all been doing all this for a very, very long time. There's some thousands and millions maybe of hours that the activists have put into this globally. You know, I don't want to leave anyone out. I mean, there's been so much incredible work done by everybody, and a lot of times the work is done quietly behind the scenes, and you never even hear about this activist or that activist. But yeah, I want to give my love and appreciation to every single person that has been speaking up on behalf of the children, whether it's Jehovah's Witness children or other, in any type of harm to children. So, I hope we understand what we need to do. We need to fill out the redress form. Anyone, anywhere can fill that out. If you knew of a crime, or you were a victim of one of those crimes, whether it was here in the United States or anywhere else, the investigators want to hear from you so that we can provide that as evidentiary support for our claim of human rights violations. And then returning the forms. So there's 3 separate addresses, 2 for the redress, which are serving as database collection for the investigators, where the information's then being uploaded into a special system, and however the computer calculates everything and looks for patterns. And then the second would be to actually have the physical copy, signed copy, which would serve as a legal testimony. We all can't show up in court, but this is a way that doesn't matter where you're at or what your financial circumstances are. You know, it costs a 50-cent stamp and an envelope to do this, and you can participate in the exposing of this harm. So that's really the gist of it. Does anyone have any questions right now before I can't hear you?
Just 1 second, Stephanie.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is where I'm supposed to say stand by for technical difficulties or something. So I'm just going to get rid of them here. And here they're back.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Oh, yes, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Just a question about the timing. You said that there's the timing.
There's an urgency.
Yeah.
There is an urgency. We're hoping to have those first 1,000 letters within the next 6 to 8 weeks. We still want the letters to continue, but in order to effectively to use our voice, we need a lot of us to come forward. And so, without at least 1,000 letters, that's where we hold the most power, is what I'm told.
Yeah, if as long as people come through. XJW Diaries has a question.
Yes.
Is there any risk for PMOs who would like to participate? Is there a risk?
So the only risk would be if you if you speak out and tell others that you're participating in this. So we are handling everything on this end confidentially, whether that's between you and the attorney or you and the investigators. These forms will be held in confidentiality and only used for the purposes that I stated, or that are stated in the introduction there, for the criminal lawsuit or for changing legislation. So no, your name will never be mentioned. We won't share your story or the likeness of your story. Paraphrasing, I had a woman, after I did another show recently with Rick Fearon, I had someone contact me from overseas, and she had a story to tell me, and she asked me to keep it confidential. And so I didn't even share that with investigators, as much as I would love to, because of the things that she told me. She's not quite ready. She's not quite ready to. Some of the children of these cults have suffered the unthinkables. We have cases of satanic ritual abuse that has occurred within the Watchtower organization, not just the Watchtower, but LDS and other cult communities. So we have to be especially gentle-hearted with the way that we proceed with these things. And it will take the voices of all of us. All child abuse is satanic. It doesn't matter what the abuse is, it is a satanic abuse.
Exactly.
Some children have suffered more. And if those of us who have not suffered so greatly, if we continue to help that silence by not speaking up, then these more evil acts will continue. And that's the only way to shine light on this, is for all of us to come together collectively, because that will help those that are the most scared to also come forward, knowing that they're protected by the many. You have a beautiful picture there in the background of the ocean. I don't know if everybody else can see it in the background.
They can see it. Yep.
But we're like the ocean. Each of us is just a single drop of water, but together, we can bring in a tsunami, tidal wave type force against these organizations. So it will take all of us coming forward.
Good. Thank you.
So I hope we have understanding of what's going on, and there'll be more and more information coming out on this. The attorney has agreed to make a video similar to the earlier one you showed, but one specifically directed towards the mass tort lawsuit concerning Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's clearer understanding straight from him. So you wanted some background information on
Yeah,
who,
just
who I
yeah,
am?
question,
Yep.
a question about the commercial. Where will that commercial be seen?
I will send it to people like yourself and then just share it amongst,
Okay, so
know,
it's not
just,
be on TV or anything.
not that I know of. Maybe he will. I don't know, but I do know they're making one specific for this campaign.
Yeah.
If it is on TV, then I'll send a clip of that. But yeah, I'll share that with you and Mike and Kimmy and Bo Benson, all the others that are sharing this information. So, and you can share it amongst the community too.
Okay, we will.
Thank you.
And XJW Diaries has a really big channel, and he is going to be very glad to put this on his channel also.
Good. Thank you for everyone for opening up the community to me. I know I don't usually come into the community like this and do much talking, so thank you for being open-hearted and having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and feel free, you guys have my information. Feel free to pass that along to those that have platforms that would like to do interviews or, have more direct questions so that we can get the correct information out. It's one thing to get information out. It's a whole nother thing to make sure that we're articulating it and explaining it well.
Absolutely. Yes.
So thank you.
No, thank
Was-
you. We truly appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any other questions or?
As they come along, this is all great. Okay, people are really following along here in the chat.
Good. So, my story is that I grew up in a little town in Corey, Pennsylvania, and just a little town, one congregation in the town. I think there was about 100 publishers at the time when I was a Jehovah's Witness girl. My mother was raised in the faith, but then left. And then after she had her way with the world, if you will, for about a decade, and then she decided to come back into the organization. At that time, I was about 5 or 6 years old. So I had the previous experience of being a quote unquote worldly child with Christmas and birthdays and that sort of thing. And then we became witnesses. And at the same time, we also got a stepfather who he became an elder. My mother was a pioneer. I started pioneering, I think I was in the 8th grade, and I only went to school part of the day for a couple of classes, and then I stayed out the rest of the time to pioneer. We had, like I told you, my abuse began when I was about 11 years old. But the worst thing for me was watching what happened to the boys in the congregation. One by one, they were just taken out, if you will. There was a man in the congregation that was raping each of the boys, and I just watched them fall like dominoes. At the time, I didn't really realize what was going on, but in hindsight, you figure it out. So I was 11 years old. My middle brother, so there was 3 of us children. The oldest is still a Jehovah's Witness. The middle child ran away when he was 15 years old to escape abuse. And my brother, when he ran away from home, when my brother ran away from home, no one called the police. No one called the police when he disappeared. And he would spend the greater part of 30 years on the streets. And it was in 2017 when he passed away to a heroin overdose that really opened up my pathway to healing and rediscovering what we had been involved with as children. because I left the Jehovah's Witnesses when I was approximately 20-ish years old. I got married to a worldly man. I just didn't look back. I built, a pretty decent life for ourselves, and just was happy living life until, like I said, when my brother passed away in 2017, he was still homeless, living on the streets, and he had in his belongings, when I went to pick them up, he had the little baby shoes in with his belongings. So I knew I was looking for a child. So I began to look for a child that he had with a woman that he met in a homeless shelter. And it took me many, many years to locate the little boy. He now lives in the Philippines, and I'm still desperately trying to bring him back to America and to safety, if you will. There's a lot of complications around it, but my parents are still Jehovah's Witnesses. They got the right of next of kin, and I didn't. So these very abusive people got, so I've just trying to save a little boy, and that's why I started looking back. And I realized that my nephew wouldn't be homeless on the streets if the elders would have cared when my brother ran away. When my brother ran away at 15, someone should have cared. Whether it's the elders, which it should have been the elders because they're supposed to be chosen by Jehovah and moral, right? But no, they didn't care. And we weren't allowed to talk to the police or anyone about it. So it went unreported. He just disappeared as if he never existed. And my brother had 2 children that I know of. Both of them have suffered homelessness. And that wouldn't happen if the Watchtower would have protected their father. And
he was just a child. Your brother was just a child at 15.
Right, exactly. So that's how these things continue. They call it a generational curse. And eventually, so many generations go by that we don't even understand how we got here. How did things get so bad? Like my family, one of the sisters earlier was talking about how they just jumped from one cult to another, right? My family has had that experience. So there was a few years ago, you can Google it, it's called the Christmas tree cult in Colorado, where they had this dead woman mummified and she's wrapped in Christmas tree lights and they're worshiping her. Well, the FBI came in and, invaded this cult, if you will. And one of the adults and at least one of the children were family members of mine. So, see, my family has a history of being in these cults. See, that's part of the generational curse. And I guess that's another reason why I look at this personally. I look at this ecumenically. Many in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community were harmed by Jehovah's Witnesses, whereas my personal harm comes from a variety of spiritual backgrounds, and most of them occultic. So that's my experience, and that's how I got into this, was when I was looking for that little boy, and I realized that if the law was different, that maybe my brother wouldn't have suffered, and definitely his children might not have suffered. So we started in 2019. Barbara Anderson and her group of SCARS which she doesn't have anymore, but she had it at the time. It was like a nonprofit, was trying to change the law in California called clergy penitent privilege exemption. And so I was living in Arizona at the time. So I just kept traveling back and forth to Sacramento and Phoenix and learning how to work with legislators, you know, learning the ins and outs of this specific law. And then once I felt I had a pretty good grasp on that, we brought it back to Arizona, and Senator Victoria Steele presented it here in Arizona on our behalf. And at the same time, we attempted in Pennsylvania. Oh, you guys will get a kick out of this. When we went back to Pennsylvania, I think this was like in 2020, I think it was. My husband and I, we printed up pamphlets on the law, you know, kind of explaining about the law, and one that told my brother's story. And we went back to our hometown and we knocked door to door.
Wow.
Just like we did as Jehovah's Witnesses, right? So we went knocking door to door, and we told everybody at the door, hey, this is my brother. This is what happened, because the church refused to protect us as children. We now find there's a law that can be changed. Please call your local representative. And we gave his name. His name was Kurt Sonny, and asked him to change this law. And he got so many phone calls from people in the community that just because we had knocked on the door, he called us and said, okay, what's going on? We need to talk. What's this law you want us to change? So we had it going on in Arizona and Pennsylvania at the same time. Neither of them passed these laws. The church, whether it's Jehovah's Witnesses, the Catholic Church, the LDS, they have a lot of power when it comes to the political world. And so these laws are not being changed. So we did California, Arizona twice, Pennsylvania twice, and then we were involved in some of the other states that were changing this, attempting to change the law, right? So that's I guess basically my story. You know, I just, like a lot of you, I just got mad enough at some point that I just started kicking and fighting back. And it took me losing my brother to realize that there was a lot of harm that had really been done, and that I needed to do my own, you know, personal journey of healing, which when you're doing that, you also have the ability to heal others. And so that's where we got to the point where we are today with, you know, working with these private investigators and advocacy groups that are very interested in changing this law on a mass scale.
So at this point, Stephanie, if anybody wants to come on and join us, I know Linda James was in the chat. She came on earlier. If anyone would like to come on, you know, you just have to go to the top of the live chat and go on Fixing My Faith, and Shauna will bring you in. I know a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have a hard time believing that Watchtower, yes, they believe in the child sexual abuse, but the satanic satanic rituals, it's kind of like too hard to believe.
Right.
But what do you say to someone like that?
Well, unfortunately, we will all be learning the truth very soon, because in the state of Maine, there is a case that has been filed that does include satanic ritual killing of a young child. And the survivor victim has already testified to that in court. And in that court case, so this is under the Ernie Fiance case in the state of Maine. if you look up that case, she already testified to witnessing that child murder. And Ernie Fiance was actually found guilty on all accounts of the child abuse. He was, I believe he was an elder. But she now is filing a civil case. That case sits really close to my heart because my brother, who remained a Jehovah's Witness, the one that was born on April Fool's Day, right? As an elder, he was the one that disfellowshipped this woman because she was advocating for her child self, for the abuses that she suffered, and for the child that she saw murdered as a little Jehovah's Witness child herself. So she's a very, very brave woman, and she has many years ago joined her voice with my voice in advocating for this legislation change, and we've been working together a long time on that. So I've heard too many stories. You know, you hear one, you can brush it off as crazy. You hear two, you hear three, you hear a dozen or more. But for me, it was really when I started advocating outside of just the Jehovah's Witness realm, and I started finding the same exact situations occurring within the Mormons and their tunnels underneath their church. Donald Trump just, I think it was yesterday, he was at the Kennedy Center and he mentioned something about the building or the rooms without windows and how odd that was in the Kennedy Center. So I think this occultic force, you know, that has entered into the church and our government is, you know, definitely working against us. And I believe it's their religious practices. I mean, have we not read the Bible? We were Jehovah's Witnesses. But, you know, they were sacrificing their children then. They just change their way. They just haven't been caught yet in that lie that you guys were talking about earlier, truth and lies, right? So I think what happens is, you know, there's these cycles, and every 25,920 years, you know, we have a massive cycle, and we change. You know, right now we're changing into the age of Aquarius. Well, there's also mini cycles within the larger cycles, and right now all of those cycles are lining up. And when that happens, then the pollution comes to the top. And I believe that that's where we're at right now in human history, is a mass awareness to the cruelty of the world, you know, the true fight of good versus evil. And it boils down to the children. Who's willing to protect the children and who's not? Did you know Roe versus Wade, the Roe girl grew up a Jehovah's Witness child?
Always.
Yes.
Didn't know
So
that.
Yeah, I knew that.
For me, when I start thinking about could these satanic rituals be real or not, I think about the little Roe girl. How could you put your name onto something that has the potential to kill millions and millions and millions of babies? Well, if you grew up in the hidden satanic side of Watchtower and you participated in forcefully, probably, participated in these ritualistic settings, you would be very callous to that. For instance, my brother, who remained a Jehovah's Witness, you know, I think to myself, how could you hear someone tell you that they witnessed a child being murdered and you not believe them? Well, he was a little boy too when our brother ran away from home, and he remembers the instruction from the elders to do nothing. And, you know, it wasn't a killing, but it was a type of a sacrifice that my brother endured too. Just a
I think,
long, eventual death.
you know, it's a difference in people, Stephanie. We hear this all the time, you know, and we want to welcome Gigi and Apostobabe Linda James, who both have channels too. They both have YouTube channels. So
Thank you.
Well, women
Thank you.
first. Foster babe Linda James.
Wow. You know what, Gigi? You have always been a gentleman around me. Thank you. So, so thank you so much for being here, Stephanie. You were talking about how we've tried to pass this clergy pennant privilege to where the way this law is that it's originally a Catholic law, and it's
Correct.
it's canonized. So it's like that's the Catholic version of written in stone, cannot change it kind of thing, right? So
Correct.
here in California, I live in California, they went to Sacramento. I have it videotaped and shown on my channel. So if anybody wants to see it, you can go to my channel and see it. The thumbnail, it's very obvious because I have pictures of everybody there. So,
Well, you can
and that was,
see Star and I there then.
yes. So it was SB 360. And I remember that because we wanted to turn it around. And, you know, 360 is like turning all the way around. So,
Yeah, right.
so, but what happened is that you know, and what was very fascinating is that one of the people that had to pass it within whatever that is called, I don't know.
Senate.
One of the ladies on the board admitted right then and there that she too had suffered child abuse
I
and
remember
brought it
that.
up. That was huge. That was, I don't even know if she ever expressed that to anybody, but after she was hearing all of these people that showed up, which many showed up that day to say that they supported SB 360. And I mean, Candace Conti showed up and her mother showed up. So when I heard that her mother was a victim as well, I was like, oh my goodness, you know, talk about generational. So what ended up happening is someone named Sharon, I don't remember her last name, found the lawyer person, I forget his name, the one that was that went to Sacramento for us.
Zolkin?
I forget his name. No, it wasn't Zolkin, it was another guy. So she found him on a patio somewhere and asked him about it because we didn't know what the results were, whether it ended up going from that spot to the next spot, because it has all these spots that it has to go through to eventually get cleared, right? And what he ended up revealing to her, and she had it on camera, was that the Catholic Church ended up sending in so many things stating that they did not want that changed. Okay. So what I'm guessing, and this is simply my opinion, for the Catholic Church to get a bunch of people from the church this to change, I'm assuming that they're telling their followers there that there's take away your you know, clergy pennant privilege where they're going to have to tell on you. I don't know if they would make it to where it's only where they would be honest and say only in child abuse situations if you had committed child abuse. I picture them saying anything you say to your priest can be revealed. That's what I picture saying.
That's exactly what they did. They started a website and they
Did they?
Yes, they started a website. It was called Save the Seal of Confession. And in that, they misrepresented our legislation as being
Oh my goodness.
exactly as you're describing there, that it would
This
be
is confirmation. Okay.
Yes, it was for, yeah, but we are trying to, and we're being very specific. We only want to change the law where the health and safety or life, obviously, of the child is in danger. Because if
correct,
Jesus said the very least thing that a Christian can do is to protect children. So if our institutions cannot protect children, then, you know, then in lies the question, are they moral enough to lead the people in faith.
Exactly. So within the Catholic Church, if a priest hears something, he's supposed to keep it confidential. He's not supposed to even go hang out with his other priest buddies and share what was confessed to him. And usually this is like a deathbed confession kind of thing.
Correct.
I've done this kind of horrible thing, and they get it off their chest before they die or something. But what ends up happening in the organization, like what you were talking about earlier, is a mother finds out that their child, finally tells them something. They go to the elders because that's the way we were trained. The outside world is under the influence of the devil, so we go to the elders who were placed there by Holy Spirit, right? We ask them, what can be done about this? And they choose to keep that secret under the clergy privilege, when in actuality, this is not a confession, but rather a report.
Correct.
A mother goes in there and reports this. That does not qualify as something that should be handled as something confidential.
You're absolutely.
Okay?
The second part of that is you began to touch on it, was where you said that it's between a penitent and their priest or their minister. But once that minister or elder or priest shares that confession with someone else, it's no longer he has now broken that seal of confidentiality. So when the elders meet, 3 of them or the body of elders, to discuss these matters, that is not the true definition of penitent's privilege.
Exactly. And the organization has attempted to change the way it's canonized within the Catholic Church as the one-on-one. And so you usually have 2 elders there. Okay. They have to call headquarters, right?
Right.
For the longest time, they had to call the legal department. Now it's a different department. But I've wondered myself, you have confidentiality with a lawyer, right? So if they call up and say, this is going on, and so said this, what should we do? Because they've convinced the elders that they should call for their own safety, and that the lawyers would tell them if that's a state that has to be reported, meaning CSA would have to be reported. So they think they're calling in so that the organization has their back, when in actuality, maybe that's the case. But it also, I'm wondering if that sets things up for lawyer and maybe I'm wondering if they don't have to say anything because a lawyer doesn't have to say anything. Like there's a confidentiality there too, to where the organization decides not to speak up.
Yeah, I think right there they've broken that seal of confession. That's my understanding of it.
Yes.
The courts can all decide for themselves, but so that you've made some excellent points, and your observations are right on.
I was afraid of that, but thank you. Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's another way we can get through to the courts.
I believe that right now this opportunity for redress is our best opportunity, because if we can bring thousands and thousands and thousands of voices together, then real change can happen.
I do too. I think that's wonderful. But yeah, if anybody wants to watch that, you can go to my channel and look for it. It has a thumbnail on it which shows people in court. Okay, that's I think that's about it. And I would love to have you on my show too, but it's late at night.
Fran and Joe will give you my information. I would love to come on. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we will connect you. Yeah. Don't leave us, Linda. We just want to hear from Gigi.
Okay. Thank you for being a gentleman, Gigi.
Oh, you're welcome. I just wanted to ask Stephanie, so what's happening in, like, as of today in Arizona? Like, are you?
In Arizona, I have nothing going on in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I, we moved to Pennsylvania. So we're now living in Pennsylvania, but we're working with a couple of transnational investigative groups now. So it has the potential to be much larger than Arizona or Pennsylvania. And this investigative group has nothing to do with what's going on in Pennsylvania. We did testify in the Pennsylvania grand jury, my husband and I both.
Yeah.
But this is separate from that. I do know a lot of the lawmakers here in Arizona. I've formed personal relationships with them because I've been working since 2019 when SB 360 was introduced. I got really involved with politics really quickly, and not just going to legislative offices, but just going to various events and meeting politicians and news people, and just trying to form as many connections as possible in that world. But currently, right now in the state of Arizona, there's, as far as I know, there's nothing specific going on.
Well, the reason, because you mentioned about connections, so there's these two women that when we were kids, we used to go to the Kingdom Hall together in high school, and one's a Arizona State
Representative?
representative, and the other one is a Supreme Court justice.
I would love to meet with them.
Yeah, and so when we have parties and we have weddings and stuff that we go to and we talk, we don't nothing's we don't talk specifics, but we do talk Watchtower, and it's they're like at a wall too, and the Arizona State representative always brings up the Mormon issue,
Well, it's good here because
special interest.
the Mormons settled in Arizona after the polygamy break.
Yeah, so they're very well aware of it, but when we talk about it, like the legal aspect, we know that there's a really there's a what do they call the people that work behind the scenes, the lobby group.
Right, lobbyists.
Yeah, but the common sense legislation that you would think that or the common sense investigation that you would, like the Australian Royal Commission is a common sense a commission, right? It makes common sense. Why is this happening?
Right. And
it's very hard to even get a similar commission just like that. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I believe that what we have going on right now with this redress form, it will open up pathways, hopefully similar to what we saw in Australia. And I do believe the investigations are and will continue first and foremost with the religious institutions, because they do the most harm. But it's not, our children are not being protected everywhere. It's not just the organization. For instance, one of the senators that we were working with in Arizona, she told us about the CPS system in Arizona, that when a child goes missing, let's say they run away or for whatever reason, they go missing out of the CPS system. After 6 months, their file gets shredded. So there's no longer any evidence of this 16-year-old little girl that ran away that might now be being pimped out on the streets. They only give it 6 months, and then they just give up on that child. So the entire system is broken. It's not just Watchtower. It is the entire system. So I do believe in the United States we need to see something similar to the Australian Royal Commission, because it's my understanding they looked into all institutions
Correct.
care for the welfare of children. So I think we're probably heading in that direction here in the United States. How close we are, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Other than I have a lot of faith in these organizations that have come on and have heard my plea for help and are now advocating on a very forward trajectory for the cult children.
Correct. But and just the last case, like we say, when I talk to my friend, she's now a Supreme Court justice. Uh, we never go into specifics or anything like that, but it's good because she tells you, hey, you can't go this direction, you can't go that direction.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're going up a wrong street if you want to attack Watchtower this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always nice to be able to have people in the know, right? So that way you're not spinning your wheels going in directions that are not going to help you.
Running on a treadmill and going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I love that you have those connections. And
I think what the Australian Royal Commission proved in Australia is that even if you're not successful in say changing a law or putting anybody behind bars, the public shame that they received in that country, that was damage for decades. Now we are in the United States, so we don't we can't really appreciate it as if you were a citizen of Australia. But just the public shame.
Yeah, and it's time for that public in the United States.
Turn off the camera.
I believe the more
Oh, there.
letters of redress that we receive, that we will be able to ignite that fire. I believe this is the igniting of that fire.
I have a question when you're done, Gigi.
No, I'll get your information, Stephanie, and
Yeah.
with the state representative for sure, and then I'll talk to when I talk to the Supreme Court justice. I'll just ask, hey, but I'll get you the name, and then maybe on Facebook you could bump into her or something.
Okay.
But I know they have very important positions. I just don't want to. But yeah, I'll definitely want to make sure you can be at least friends with them.
Right. I might even already know her and not even know that there's the connection to Watchtower. Yeah, I wrote a book, but it's more political, and I take that book with me when I do my political work, if you will.
Yeah, and so
I wrote more on the flag salute issue because that speaks to, how did the Jehovah's Witnesses cause a demoralization of Americanism?
Mhm.
Well, they're the ones that, said that the flag salute doesn't need to be compulsory. And how does that contribute to demoralization of Americanism? So, and then the thing like with Roe versus Wade, all of these, the ideology that we instill in children, it grows up with them and it becomes a part of society. Well, even after you leave the organization, you still, hold on to some of that, some of those belief systems that were formed in your youth. It's just natural, and so that does have a effect on society as a whole, not just the generational curses, such as like I was talking about earlier, like with what happened with my brother running away and then both of his children experiencing homelessness. Those are the more obvious ways, but the less obvious ways are how they have brought about cultural change that has demoralized us as a nation and a world.
And I'll tell you how that happened, and I'll leave it with this. But how that happened is they're telling you, Watchtower tells you, and it's in their Bible. It says New World Translation. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, right.
And the last thing I was just going to say, and I'll go. But if I know two people in political positions in Arizona, how many of our legislators and judges all across the United States have Jehovah's Witness upbringing? I think we'd be pleasantly surprised. I think there's so many more.
Right.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that. Although, did you know that Dwight D. Eisenhower was a Jehovah's Witness? Okay.
And his mom, yeah, she was big.
Yeah, she was a Bible student.
Right. Yeah, prior to
I think she was a shareholder too. I thought.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so, I think it all kind of ties in together eventually. you know, if you see the larger picture, like you obviously do, you mentioning the New World Translation.
Yeah,
It is a political thing.
and Matthew 24 is the only translation that says the system of things. And that's what everyone in the financial business is talking. Everybody from like everybody who is talking about the monetary system in the United States, they're all using the phrase and have been using it for the past 6-7 years. The new system.
Go ahead.
These things are not coincidences, is what I'm
No,
saying.
no, they're not.
Watchtower is very well connected, so they're not going to go down quietly. It's going to be a
Have you noticed, so you're watching the financial things, have you noticed that the same countries that are kicking the cults out are also the same countries that have left the US petrodollar and moved to BRICS?
yeah. It's not that, these things are not coincidences.
No, they're not.
And also the first religion that fought with the Russians was the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not a coincidence either. You can't. Yeah, the Jehovah. Yeah, because Watchtower never talks about the draftees in Ukraine, how they're being abducted, young kids. But you
Right.
know, but they have a problem with Russia. I don't know what the answer is, but these things are not coincidences.
No, they're not coincidences. I did read an article. I would love to have another conversation with you sometime because I go down all these rabbit holes. I did read an article once where the Jehovah's Witnesses were somehow connected to the biolabs. I don't know. I'd have to find the article and share it with you to know.
So Stephanie, yeah, we can connect you with Gigi, with Gilbert. We'll connect you.
Good, thank you.
Oh yeah, and we've got Annie and Elaine also. Elaine thinks that maybe she met you in 2020. Is that right, Elaine?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Fran. Hi, Stephanie. I'm pretty sure we met as a brief encounter. I was hosting a meetup in Tucson, Arizona in 2020. I think that's how we met. We met?
Arizona or living in Tucson around that time, yes.
Yeah. And so you connected with me. We connected, and you said to me, you said, would you like to go to a protest to save the children? And I went, and I met you there, and we ended up spending the day walking around that downtown. And it's a real special memory that I have of you and your husband.
Thank you.
And it was one of my first activities where I felt like I was a true activist. You know?
I do remember this, and you taught me the phrase controlled opposition.
I did? Wow.
I'm sure. Yeah, because I was waking up to all of it. We're all waking up, aren't we?
Yeah, I was waking up then too. I was pretty new out in 2020, and I just wanted to say hello. And it's a surprise for me to see you here on a show that I come regular. And then my memory's not good because I'm older, and I just thought I've got to ask you, and I just wanted to say hello and give you, congratulations for all the activism you're doing and commend you for it. And I remember you had a real strong spirit towards saving the children. And anyway, I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you. Hello. Nice to hear from you. Sorry about the dog.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
You can stay with us. I think maybe Annie may have a question or wanted to say hi.
Yes, Stephanie, this is Annie. I have a bit of a concern. Maybe there is no concern needed, but as you probably know, that Pennsylvania now has a different attorney general.
Yes.
It's David Sunday, and Michelle Henry was a bulldog going after this. Is there any concern that he's going to kind of drop the ball, or I'm hoping he'll continue it because it needs to be.
I like I said, my husband and I testified in that grand jury investigation. We have not been notified yet to any changes. So as far as I have an understanding, It's still an active and ongoing investigation. And as I mean, we would have been informed to stop sending information to them if so. I believe that, for instance, the Jehovah's Witness investigation in Pennsylvania started with Josh Shapiro, correct?
Right. Yes.
But it actually started before Josh Shapiro. Well, not the Jehovah's Witnesses, but the Catholic Church one. He got the credit for it, but it started before his term as Attorney General. So these things aren't case specific to who's presiding in that office. It's more, all the unseen people behind the scenes that are actually doing the work. So just like when we get a new president of the United States, the world doesn't necessarily turn upside down. It's just a new commander in chief. So I'm still holding out faith that some more justice will come from that investigation. I know there's been a few arrests, but I mean, it's still an active and ongoing investigation. So
I'm hopeful that Pennsylvania will prove to be an example for other states in this country.
Yes.
To consider doing the same thing.
Yes,
based on so much information coming out.
Yeah, they've laid the groundwork, by investigating the Catholic Church first, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Next on their list is the Amish community. So, they really are laying the groundwork there. But it's the same thing with like SB 360 with the clergy penitent privilege exemption law. It starts somewhere, and then it snowballs into something more. So Barbara Anderson started it, and as far as I know, she's still advocates for it, but not necessarily in the legal courtrooms like that. But somebody else picks it up, continues to run with the ball, if you will. And there's a lot of us out here running with the ball, like Elaine. She went to that protest with us. It's just inspiring others. And that's what I'm really hoping, that this campaign that I came on here to explain to everyone, I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for all to come together as one united voice to ignite that fire. We all have these burning embers, that are just burning the soul from the inside out. But if we can all come together and add a little fuel to the fire collectively, we'll really be a strong force and be able to make some changes. So, I think Pennsylvania is going to be a pivotal part of the exposure. I mean, the Watchtower was started in Pennsylvania,
right?
Allegheny, Pennsylvania, and the legal entity for Watchtower is still the Watchtower Bible Society of Pennsylvania. So I do believe that, Pennsylvania holds a key that maybe we don't even understand fully. So have faith.
I'm sorry.
I just say have faith. The best we can do is to give our voices, and what's done with that is up to the mercy of those hearing our cries.
And I'm encouraged by the fact that Zalkin is taking the governing body to the Supreme Court in New York.
That is encouraging.
We'll see how far that goes, if they can manage to wiggle out of that, because they have friends in high places, as we know. So, but we'll see.
Are the friends in high places?
What's that?
Or they are the friends in high places.
Well, yes, there's that.
Right.
Yeah, that's true
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I've got faith. I got to read up on that. I actually am just hearing about that recently too, about what Zalkin is doing. So I need to read up on that so I'm more informed. So thank you for the information.
A lot going on. Good stuff, though.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And it takes all of us, like, I'm not a legal mind, so I consulted with Shelley, BCG,
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of my advocacy, like I forget the gentleman's name that was on here earlier.
GG.
GG.
Mhm.
He goes to his friends who are former witnesses that are now in law. Yeah, we do need, sources that understand these things than us. But we have the power of our voice. And that's enough. That's enough.
When we were witnesses, women did not have a voice. We
That's
could
right.
preach, we could pioneer, we could give talks with another woman on the stage, but we could never do what we're doing. And so I appreciate the women that are using their voice in this way, in whatever way we can.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on too, Stephanie. I know there may be others that want to come on. Please do. We have another half hour if it's okay with Stephanie, unless you're getting tired, if you've got other things to do.
No, I'm good. I'm good right now. If anybody else wants to talk, I'm an open book.
I have a question,
Yeah, go ahead.
but I'll wait till you're done, Fran.
Oh, I was just speaking of book, what is the name of your book? You mentioned that you did write a book.
Oh yeah, it's print now, but it's Paying for Sins of Others, Protecting Our Children by Reviewing Our Stolen Patriotism. And I take the issue of the flag salute issue and I combine that with the issue of clergy penitent privilege exemption of the covering up of the crimes. I'll send you guys a PDF of it.
Okay, yeah. Did you say it's in print now or not in print?
It's out of print online now.
Okay.
I took it off.
Okay, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Linda. What were you going to say?
So in the Australia, what happened there? The Australian wrote. Anyways, it was an inquiry, right? So when people looked at it as having an expectation of, oh, gotcha on something and taking them and charging them with anything, that was not going to happen. What was happening is because they were a charity of the government, it was okay for the government to tell any of these charities to answer to them on how they handled specifically CSA. So everybody was there to answer to them. And then I found out oh my gosh, they get funding. I had no clue, right? So I'm wondering if besides being tax exempt here in the US, if the US gets any funding from the governments through money. Do you know if that happens here?
I don't exactly follow all the financial things. I know there's other people out there that are following the finances very closely.
Okay.
But I've heard little things like even like the little government boxes during COVID,
Yes.
the
Yes.
farmer to table boxes.
Yes.
They were some of the congregations were putting in their letters, this is a gift from Jehovah. No, this is
Right.
governmental aid. I'm sure, I don't know specifics that I can speak to, no, but it's a good question. And I'm sure there's investigators that would love to know that sort of thing too. So
Okay, thank you.
I think if we start with the CSA and get the attention of the authorities, we can start going down some of these other rabbit holes.
Yes, I agree.
Because people don't, unless it personally affects them, a lot of times people don't respond, so we have to make our voice collectively loud enough that we are unignorable.
Yes.
And that will only happen if we come together. And this is an opportunity for that. And we are together, but on these channels and stuff in our own little world, it's time for us to go out into the world and tell them, what we endured here in the United States, the land of the free. No, we weren't free. I was, we all endured some type of slavery underneath that organization.
I didn't even know what human rights were until the
Yeah.
last 10 years.
Right.
Rights? We had rights.
Right. And
Article 18 gives us the human right to change our religion. That's
right.
part of freedom of religion.
That's
And
right.
did we ever get told this during our time in the organization? No, but we
No.
were happy that they went to court under freedom of religion, yet
Mhm.
they deprived us. Well,
of that same freedom. Correct.
well,
And
we could do that, but it came with horrible consequences. So,
Right.
that.
So
Wow.
they violated our human rights. Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the plea to the courts that I'm ultimately making is a plea my human rights that have been violated by this organization, and all of us together. But we need to wake up to that and think about where we are in history. We had the different movements. The more recent one would have been the civil rights movement.
Yes.
Well, after the civil rights, what comes next are human rights. And that is exactly where we are in history. We're just in the middle of the storm, so it's hard to see it. But once we get past this, and I do believe that is why the voice of the children is so important, because the inhumanity, that it takes for the world to become this depraved to the point where, I'm going to go back to the satanic rituals. We are allowing this by our complicit, I can't say the word, complicit.
Yeah,
Somebody help me.
I hear you.
And by our continued silence. Like in my family, my grandfather would rape his daughters and his daughters' friends. And grandma knew about it. Grandma would leave a different daughter home on Saturdays when she'd go grocery shopping with the rest of the children. So that type of silence, the continued silence, is where we have gotten to where we are now as a whole in the world. And so, yeah, it's our time to speak.
It is. And I think that, like what you're talking about, the older generations, I think the women were more dependent upon those that were men in the families that were doing these horrendous abuses. So they were not equipped
Right.
to leave and be able to function outside of that home if he was the breadwinner and she was
Right.
not.
Right.
If she, you know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying.
So this is something that, the basic thing for women's liberation simply began with, we want to be paid the same amount for the same amount of work. So yes, from there it went on to a whole lot of other things. But to begin with, women's liberation was simply for that, to have, equality in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So once I do see some of the women as not being compliant, but can't get out of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
and they're stuck there.
And this opportunity for redress gives even those voices a place to scream, because you don't have to leave your current situation in order to participate in this redress. You can still ask for help confidentially to this campaign that's going on. Your voice can be collected and used to help spring forward this movement of human rights, specifically the human rights of a child. Did you know the United States?
Go ahead.
No, please.
I have researched this, and in the US, children have no human rights.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You are the only one who knows this. I've brought it up a ton of times,
Yes.
and
So
people have disagreed. It's
yeah, the
terrible.
U.S.
It
is the
just hasn't
only
been.
nation.
Mhm. Is it just, or did she freeze? I think my Wi-Fi might be a little off.
Yeah, we're still on, Linda.
Okay.
Shauna? Oh, okay.
No, I was just gonna say I think Stephanie froze. So could
Okay.
you just message her to come back in?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the term is ratified. It could be another term, but it's almost as though there were so many steps that had to be taken, and there's just one last step to be taken for children to have these human rights. I don't know what all the steps are called, but within my research, it just has not been ratified yet, I believe is the word. And it's shocking. How did I find this out? Because of the of another group of kids that would be put into these places where they're supposed to be trained and disciplined and all this stuff. And there was a lot of abuse going on in those places. So some of those survivors, in trying to do much like we're trying to do, because there's deception in recruiting the parents of these children, you know, are rebelling and doing some terrible things, and they see an advertisement that says you can send your child here and we'll straighten them up and everything, but they don't realize that there's a ton of abuse being done within some of these places. And um, there's been more awareness to that since then, but that's how I found out. It wasn't through another way. I found out through another group of people that were abusing children, and they had to deceive the parents. And once the parents would show up with the child, the first thing they would do is separate them. And they would tell the parents, yep, we got this, we have it under control. And the way they could get away with this is these were privatized places. So they weren't held responsible to certain things by the government. They got to run things the way they wanted to. And then they would go to the child or teenager that probably smoked a joint and they had a beer, whatever, and then told them, listen, your mother, your father thinks this, and talks to them and says a bunch of stuff that are lies, and they feel abandoned and they have to just, rise to the occasion, and they're now under the authority of these people that put them through these different things, and they would beat on them, physically beat on them to get them to submit, which isn't much different than my childhood. I mean, I didn't even know CPS existed when I was a kid. I didn't even know that was an option. In my head, I always got a beating because I frickin' deserved it because I was bad. And, my mother's beating me because what? She loves me. That's the scripture I was told, I was shown. You remember that, right, Annie?
Yes. I was fortunate enough not to be misused like that. But I was thinking about the Catholics and the orphanages and the nuns and the way the nuns would treat the children in the orphanages.
Mm-hmm.
So this children not having human rights, I never thought about that before, but that goes way, way back.
Yes.
Wow, that's alarming. But
So I'm concerned with all these things that the government is talking about turning privatized, because I've learned that, like, I've known people that worked at different schools associated with their church, and they could hire people that weren't even teachers, like they didn't go to school for early childhood education, but
well,
it was
that
the
has
desire of
changed
their
though.
heart. Has it? Okay.
That has changed. They definitely are requiring anyone who's associated with a school of any kind, for example, they have to be trained. They have to
Okay,
go
that's
through.
good to hear.
There is some accountability there, but
Okay.
it's been a
I'm
long
also
time coming.
I'm also concerned because I grew up special ed. And so today I just see it as I have a learning difference, but it is a learning disability. So I believe my upbringing in special ed actually taught me how to critically think.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't learn that from the organization. I believe that my teachers, they didn't use punishment in disciplining or teaching me anything, but they used rewards. Even just like if we were doing our work at our tables, the teacher would walk around and set down like 3 M&Ms, 3 peanut M&Ms. That was a positive reinforcement, right? But and I felt so good because I'm writing on my paper and I got those 3 it was a big deal, okay? So that's confirmation.
Stars.
Right? So, you know, when you're teaching somebody or disciplining somebody, rewards work so much better, meaning positive confirmation than negative confirmation. I mean, yes, you know, sometimes that has to happen, but the more positive really helps direct children in the behavior that we're trying to teach them, you know?
Yeah, we lost Stephanie. She her power, I guess her device powered off, but she appreciated coming on and she appreciated everyone's interest. And if you need the copies of those the documents to send in, we can send them to you, and just let us know so we can get as many out as possible. And we're also trying to connect her with other videographers. Video producers. So yeah, Linda, if you want to have her on your program, or you know, she'd be willing to do that.
I do, and I'm going to send Vern or the Good Wife. I'm going to send them the video I have from my channel to where you guys can see if you want to watch the thing when we went to Sacramento. I didn't go, but you know, I was there in spirit.
Nice.
And I have it shown on my channel.
When was it? When did you go?
I didn't go, but I was I promoted it a lot. So I believe she was saying 2019.
Okay.
I believe that's when she said it was.
Okay.
And then underneath that video, I have like a ton of information under it, like where you could go to support it and all this stuff, you know. But
you know, Linda, I was still thinking about the children not having rights. There's been a problem in this country, and I don't know about other countries, but going way back where a man's family was his. He owned his wife, he owned his children.
Yeah, hey, she's in the car. You are so resourceful.
And so that's where domestic abuse, that's how domestic abuse was. People would look the other way.
That's right.
And
that's right.
so
we were property.
That spills over to the children, of course. So that's one reason why we have the problem of child abuse. And even to this day, police can be called for domestic abuse, and a lot of times they won't even respond, or there's not a lot of help that's offered to the woman. So it's still an ongoing issue.
Yeah, it can be. And men are abused by their women much more than we even realize. Okay, my father was one of them.
I actually know someone who talked about his mother.
Stephanie's in the car.
She was an alcoholic.
Stephanie got in her car and she's back on.
Yeah, my daughter's driving. I'm good. I'm not driving.
Okay, good. And
I think daughter.
Steph woke up, was just in the chat. I don't know what happened to Steph woke up, but.
I was just going to finish that and say that his father stood 6'4", but when his mother was drunk, she would attack him and scratch his face up so bad that he had spots where he couldn't grow his beard because the skin had been damaged so much. So you're right. Women can attack men as well and be abusive.
Who was that, Annie? I missed it.
So someone I know.
Oh, okay.
Someone I know was telling me their story about their mother and father. It's pretty traumatic domestic abuse.
especially old school, men did not go to the police. You know,
Right,
police would reprimand them if they said their wives abused them. They'd be like, go home and, you know, handle your family. But even today, I think there's, it's very hard for a man who's being abused to report it,
Yeah,
whether they're an adult or child. But
pretty
anyways,
humiliating.
yes, I'm so glad you're back, Stephanie.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just wanted
thank
to
you.
read that.
Yeah,
We
sorry
got
about
10
that.
minutes. We've got 10 minutes, Stephanie, if you wanted to say anything
Yeah.
else.
So what I was saying when my device died on me was we were talking about the human rights of the child. So there's the human rights Declaration of the United Nations, and then there's an entire separate declaration that was written just for children. But the United States is the only nation in the world that has not yet signed that treaty. So another reason why our voices are so important on this redress, because if we can bring forward the voices of the Jehovah's Witness children that have been harmed and the voices of all these other cults that have been harmed, it will show the systematic abuse and human rights violations of the children in America, and it will show the importance of us joining, you know, and actually protecting the human rights of these children.
We know that this is not a political, endeavor.
No, I mean, it does become political because you have to go to the world or to those that are, you know, writing these laws, but it is bipartisan. You know, I personally, I'm working with people on the right and on the left and in the middle. You know, this is not a Democrat issue. This is not a Republican issue or an independent issue. This is a human issue. That's why it's called human rights. It's not the rights of you know, whether or not abortion should be right, or it's not the right of, you know, the LGBTQ. I don't even know all of the letters now. I apologize, but this is an issue far beyond all of the other issues. It's not black. It's not white. It's a human issue. This isn't a civil rights movement. This is the human rights movement, and that's what we're in the middle of, is the human rights movement. And Jehovah's Witnesses as an organization have prided themselves on being at the top of the civil rights movement, for example. You know, no other institution by size wise has challenged our First Amendment right more so than the Organization of Jehovah's Witnesses. So they actually have had a lot to do with the transformation of our nation. And it's time now that those of us that have been harmed by these institutions, like we were talking about earlier about the Catholic, you know, the canon law, you know, when the church and the state came together and married themselves to each other, you know, that's when we began to really lose our human rights, in my opinion. Do you know that
When did that happen?
Well,
I
I don't know exactly, but I do
okay.
know that the cross and crown that was on the old Watchtower magazines, that's what that
Yes.
stands for, is the marriage of Christianity with, you know, the church and the state. So
Oh my
the
goodness.
fact that
So
they
the
had that on their publications, it shows that they are part of this greater political element.
okay. So this might be a situation that is not a separation of church and state, but in fact a marriage of church and state.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, I
having a
was
hard time hearing you. Apologize because I'm in the car.
no, that's okay.
So, I mean, you know, that's the big issue. You know, I mean, there's people that want our government to turn into a theocracy. You know, are we a republic? Are we a democracy? how about we
We
just agree that we are a government that protects human rights?
yes,
That's a good
because
place to start. I
we
think
grew
that
up in a theocracy, and that was pretty bad. Okay, it was a
yeah,
totalitarian regime, is what we grew up
right.
in, and under a
It
under a quote
absolutely was
unquote
a totalitarian.
theocracy. Yes.
Yes. So
Welcome, Linda.
yeah, I think if we just go back to basics and start with the human rights and my understanding what the founders were and what they wanted for this country, it was a human rights movement of their day.
We just want to say
And
hi to,
you know,
go ahead.
I think that's where we're at again.
Stephanie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, we just want to say hi to Linda Kiefer. She was never a
Okay.
Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, she was never a Jehovah's Witness, but she has been a great support for Joe and I and the ExJW community. She's a
Thank
very
you.
close friend of ours.
Yeah, I'm glad to be able to listen to your program here. I think what you guys are doing is outstanding, and I wish I could be more proactive too. But I love listening to you guys, and you give me more faith in humanity listening to you that you're stepping out and helping other people. And
I'm having a hard time hearing Linda.
Yeah, Linda, your volume's not up.
Oh, okay, it's up now. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate what all you people are doing because you're actually stepping up to the plate and doing something and you're out there advocating. I think that's wonderful, and I certainly want to support that kind of thing. But on the other thing is too that with our society, there's so few people that you can talk to that have some common sense, and you guys. I love hearing it. It's refreshing. That's all I can tell you, you know. And I don't want to get political either, but it is scary where our government is going, and I think we're going to see the rights of children decrease because with the government, they're gutting the government now. You're going to see a lot of important programs being ripped out from people who really, really need this stuff, and I think that's very unfortunate. And I'm sorry that as a nation, our country can't get together and work together and support the Constitution and the rights of children, you know, and all that stuff, really. But I'm glad that you guys are out there, and I think we all have to do our own part. That's all we can do.
Yes.
Children will be the unifying force of the right and the left that come together.
I hope so. We need to have more people in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
They're talking about the right and the left, the extremes, but that isn't the main, population of the people. I think most of the people are in the middle. They want to be, be involved in government. And they want to see things that help other people. It's just these the extreme people on the left and the right are screwing everybody up, and they're becoming the norm instead of the minority.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing everybody, so I'll probably say my goodbyes here, if that's okay.
Yes. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to me today and being so open to my suggestions. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for coming on, Linda.
Well, either I'm getting smarter with this stuff or you made it so easy that even I can do this. So thank you. I'm not an AI person,
No, you're doing great.
You guys.
You too. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, this is kind of nice. But I always feel like I'm kind of a little bit of an outsider because I don't have anything to add to, because your experiences have been different than mine, obviously. But when it comes down to children, that's a common denominator for people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've all been children.
Right.
Oh, Linda.
Yeah.
Joe wants to say hi.
Oh,
Hello, Linda. How are you?
great. How you doing, big guy?
It's great to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah.
By the way, Linda and her husband, Matt, are the ones that are going to host our meetup on May 18th
Yeah, I can't
at
wait.
their
It'll be fun.
house.
It'll be fun. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to share too, if there anybody is out of town, we do actually have 3 open bedrooms. So we would, if anybody needed to stay overnight or something, we could be
Oh,
talk
that's
about
awesome.
that.
That's wonderful.
It's
Yeah.
awfully generous of you, Linda. And they have a beautiful place and it's right on the lake.
Yeah, it's not real big, but it's sufficient.
Kind of
It'll
on the
take
lake.
care of people.
By the lake.
Yeah, by the lake, kind of. But yeah, we'd be happy to share that with you guys.
Well, thank you. It's awfully generous of you.
We need allies like you.
I think we
But
all need each other. We all need each other.
yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're very welcome.
And
I'm gonna-
Debbie was on earlier too, Linda. She was
Yeah,
on in
I
the
caught a
beginning
little
of the
bit of her.
program.
Yeah, I've been listening since about 9 o'clock, but I don't want to, get into your group if
No,
maybe
you
toward the end I'll say hello.
glad you did.
Yeah, same here.
I'm gonna say goodbye and go get the link and then give it to Vern or his good wife and then. So good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Good
Linda,
night.
for
Good night,
coming
Linda.
on.
Sounds good, Linda. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And Joe and Fran, I think we're at that time. If you guys have
Yes.
anything else to add.
Thank you. Thank you for all your
Thank you
help.
to everybody.
Thank you for coming
Yeah,
on,
you're
Linda.
very welcome.
And Annie, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'll try to do this more often now. I'm feeling a little more comfortable, but you guys are like,
Oh,
Oh, you're
you're my
fabulous.
icons. You really are. God bless you. Love you.
We love
Have a
you
good night.
too. Talk to you
Okay.
soon.
All righty.
Thank you, everybody. Good night. See
Thank
you
you.
next week.
Thank you,
Good night.
Shauna.
Thank you, Annie.
Like
In making friends. I need people. I need friends.
Yours.